Ambassador Hyun-Ki sat in the massive council chamber on Zentara Prime. The building was huge, bigger than anything on Earth. Thousands of alien beings filled the seats around him. Some looked like giant insects. Others had too many arms or eyes that glowed in the dark. A few looked almost human, but with strange skin colors or weird shapes. Hyun-Ki was the only human in the entire building. He had been Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council for 3 years now. Most of the time, the other species ignored him. They treated humans like children who had accidentally found their way into an adult meeting. Today felt different. The air buzzed with tension. Alien voices whispered in languages that sounded like static or grinding metal. Hyun-Ki checked his translation device again. It was working fine, but he had a bad feeling about what was coming. High Arbiter Velthara stepped onto the central platform. She was one of the Keepers, an ancient race that claimed to have ruled the galaxy for millions of years. Her skin was pale blue and seemed to glow with its own light. When she spoke, her voice echoed through the chamber without any microphone. "Fellow beings of the Galactic Council," she began, "we gather today to address a serious violation of our most sacred laws." The chamber fell silent. Even the constant humming of alien breathing devices stopped. Hyun-Ki felt his heart rate increase. He had no idea what violation they were talking about, but he suspected it had something to do with Earth. The primitive species known as humans have broken the Primitive Species Protection Act, Velthara continued. They have developed faster than light, travel without our guidance or permission. This is forbidden. Admiral Krextar of the Vorthak Empire stood up from his seat. He was massive, even for his species. The Vorthak looked like walking tanks with too many teeth. Krextar's armor was covered in scars from 100 battles. "The humans must surrender immediately," Krextar's voice boomed across the chamber. "They must give us all their technology. They must accept Galactic Council supervision of their homeworld. If they refuse, we will take these things by force." Other aliens began to make noise. Some clicked their mandibles in agreement. Others flashed lights that Hyun-Ki's translator said meant yes in their language. A few species that looked like floating jellyfish changed colors rapidly, which apparently meant they were excited. Hyun-Ki stood up slowly. His human body looked tiny compared to the aliens around him, but his voice was steady when he spoke, high. "Arbiter, with respect, Earth rejects these demands." The chamber exploded into noise. Aliens shouted in dozens of languages. Some made sounds like roaring or screeching. Others just stared at Hyun-Ki like he had grown a second head. Velthara raised one of her 4 arms for silence. "Ambassador Hyun-Ki, do you understand what you are saying? Your species has barely left your own solar system. The combined fleets of the Galactic Council could turn your planet into dust in a matter of hours." "I understand perfectly," Hyun-Ki replied. "However, I need 72 hours to consult with my government before giving you a final answer." Admiral Krextar laughed. It sounded like rocks being crushed in a metal grinder. "Typical primitive behavior. You think delay will save you? You think we will change our minds?" "Perhaps you will," Hyun-Ki said calmly. More laughter echoed through the chamber. Not just from Krextar, but from hundreds of other aliens. They thought the human ambassador was making a joke. Chancellor Voxran of the Solani Collective spoke up. The Solani were the technology experts of the galaxy. They looked like tall, thin gray beings with huge heads. "Ambassador, your species has no chance against us. We have studied your capabilities. Your largest warships are smaller than our scout vessels. Your weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Your computers are thousands of years behind ours. You have studied what we have chosen to show you," Hyun-Ki said quietly. This statement caused more confusion than laughter. Several alien translators started making error noises as if they could not understand what the human meant. High Arbiter Velthara looked annoyed. "Very well. You have 72 hours. When that time expires, you will give us your answer. If you refuse our generous offer, the combined fleets of the Vorthak, Silani, and Keeper forces will move against Earth. This is not a negotiation, Ambassador. This is a warning." "Understood," Hyun-Ki said. He bowed slightly, then walked out of the chamber. As soon as he left the building, Hyun-Ki activated his emergency communicator. The message went out on quantum channels that would reach Earth in minutes. Meanwhile, on Earth, President Da-eun was in the middle of a budget meeting when her aide burst into the room. The aide's face was pale, and he was breathing hard. "Madam, President, we have an emergency communication from Ambassador Hyun-Ki." Da-eun dismissed the other officials and listened to the message alone. When it finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she pressed a button on her desk. "Get me Defense Minister Tae-ho, Admiral Jin-woo, and Director Sora. Emergency meeting in the Situation Room. Tell them it is Protocol Omega." Within an hour, Earth's top leaders were gathered around a secure table deep underground. The Situation Room was designed to survive direct nuclear attacks. Today, it might need to survive something much worse. Defense Minister Tae-ho was a former soldier who had served in 3 different wars. Admiral Jin-woo commanded Earth's space forces. Director Sora ran the planet's intelligence services. All 3 of them looked grim when they heard the news from the Galactic Council. "So they finally showed their true colors," Tae-ho said. "We always knew this day would come." "The timing is not ideal," Admiral Jin-woo replied. "We had hoped for another 5 years to complete all preparations." "We work with what we have," Director Sora said. "The question is whether we are ready." President Da-eun looked at each of them carefully. These people had been preparing for this moment for most of their adult lives. They had trained for it, planned for it, and built their entire careers around it. "Gentlemen, lady," she said formally, "are we ready for war?" All 3 nodded. "Then signal Protocol Omega to all deep space installations," Da-eun ordered. "It is time to show the galaxy what humanity is really capable of." Back on Zentara Prime, the alien leaders were already making plans. Admiral Krextar was assembling the largest battle fleet in galactic history. Chancellor Voxran was preparing his most advanced weapons systems. High Arbiter Velthara was drafting the surrender terms that Earth would be forced to sign. None of them suspected that somewhere in the darkness between stars, ancient human installations were coming online. Weapons that had been hidden for decades were being loaded. Ships that had been disguised as mining equipment were revealing their true purpose. The 72-hour countdown had begun, but the aliens had no idea what was really counting down. 50 years ago, Dr. Yejin was just a young scientist working at the radio telescope facility in Chile. She was looking for signals from space, hoping to find proof that humans were not alone in the universe. What she found changed everything. The signal came from beyond Pluto. It was not meant for Earth. It was alien military chatter between 2 species arguing about trade routes. Yejin listened for weeks before she understood what she was hearing. There was not just one alien civilization out there. There were hundreds. President Da-eun's grandfather had been in charge of the government when Yejin brought her discovery to the military. Instead of announcing it to the world, he made a different choice. He created Project Deep Watch, the most secret program in human history. "We are not ready to meet them," he had said. "We must learn about them first. We must prepare." Now, 50 years later, Admiral Jin-woo stood in the command center of Deep Watch Station 1. The station was hidden behind Neptune, disguised as a research facility studying ice formations. In reality, it was the control center for humanity's greatest secret. "All stations report ready, Admiral," said Commander Haewon. She had been born on this station. Her parents had been part of the original Deep Watch team. Most of the people here had never lived on Earth. Jin-woo looked at the massive screens showing the solar system. To most people, it looked normal. Sun, the planets, the asteroid belt, and some scattered mining operations. But Jin Woo could see the truth. "Activate full display," he ordered. The screens changed. Suddenly, thousands of new objects appeared. Hidden bases on asteroids, weapon platforms disguised as communication satellites, ships that had been pretending to be cargo haulers for decades. The entire outer solar system was actually a fortress. Chief Engineer Min Ho walked up to Jin Woo. He was old now, but his eyes were still sharp. He had spent 30 years building humanity's secret fleet. "The shipyards are ready, Admiral," Min Ho reported. "We have 2,000 combat vessels ready for launch. Another 500 are still being built, but they can fight if needed." "How did we keep this secret for so long?" asked a young officer, who was seeing the full scope of Deep Watch for the first time. Min Ho smiled. "We told people we were mining asteroids. We told them we were building solar power collectors. We told them we were doing scientific research. All of those things were true. We just did not tell them what we were really building." Admiral Jin Woo remembered his first day at Deep Watch Academy 25 years ago. He had been a regular space pilot, flying cargo runs between Earth and Mars. Then Director Sora had recruited him for something she called advanced training. The academy was hidden inside an asteroid between Jupiter and Saturn. From outside, it looked like a mining operation. Inside, it was the most advanced military school in human history. They taught tactics that no Earth military had ever used. They studied alien psychology and technology. They learned to think like warriors preparing for a war that might never come. But deep down, everyone knew the war would come, eventually. Dr. Ye Jin entered the command center carrying a thick folder of reports. She was older now, but still the lead expert on alien cultures. She had spent 50 years studying every signal, every transmission, every piece of information that came from the galactic civilizations. "Admiral, I have the final intelligence reports," she said. "The Vorthak Empire has 12,000 combat ships, but they are designed for fighting other aliens. They expect their enemies to follow the same rules they do. They have never fought humans." "What about their weaknesses?" Jin Woo asked. "They are rigid. They follow orders without question. Their battle plans never change once they start fighting. If we can surprise them, they will not know how to respond." "And the Solani Collective?" "More flexible, but they depend too much on their computers. They think their technology makes them superior to everyone else. They have never fought an enemy that could think faster than their machines." "The Keepers?" "Ancient, powerful, but they have not fought a real war in thousands of years. They are used to winning through fear and reputation. They do not expect anyone to actually fight back." Jin Woo nodded. This was exactly what humanity had been hoping for. The aliens were strong, but they were also predictable. They had grown, comfortable being the strongest powers in the galaxy. They had forgotten what it was like to face a real challenge. Commander Woo Jin approached the group. He ran the training programs for Deep Watch ground forces. "Admiral, our Marines are ready. We have been preparing for boarding actions and ground combat. The aliens think space battles are fought ship to ship. They do not expect humans to board their vessels and fight hand to hand." "How many trained soldiers do we have?" Jin Woo asked. 2 million scattered across the outer system. Another 5 million on Earth and the inner colonies. But that is not our real strength. Explain. "Every human in space has been trained for combat. The asteroid miners know how to use explosives and fight in zero gravity. The scientists on research stations know how to build weapons and plan ambushes. The cargo pilots know how to turn their ships into guided missiles. The aliens think they are fighting our military. They have no idea they are fighting our entire civilization." Engineer Min Ho brought up another display. "We also have these," he said proudly. The screen showed a new type of ship. It looked smaller than the alien vessels, but Jin Woo knew looks could be deceiving. "Stealth frigates," Min Ho explained. "They are invisible to alien sensors. Each one carries enough firepower to destroy a ship 10 times its size. We have been building them for 20 years. The aliens know nothing about them? Nothing. They think our most advanced ships are the cruisers we use for trade missions. They have no idea what we can really build. Director Sora's voice came through the communication system. Admiral Jinwoo, we have received final authorization from President Da Yun. Operation Revelation is approved. Begin Phase 1. Jinwoo looked around the command center. Every person here had spent their lives preparing for this moment. Some had been born into the program. Others had been recruited as adults. All of them knew that humanity's survival depended on what happened in the next few days. All stations. This is Admiral Jinwoo, he said into his communicator. Initiate Protocol Omega. Reveal all hidden assets. Prepare for combat operations. The aliens wanted to see what humanity is capable of. Let us show them. Across the solar system, things that had looked like harmless space junk suddenly came alive. Mining platforms extended weapon arrays. Research stations activated military sensors. Cargo ships dropped their disguises and revealed themselves as warships. The aliens had given humanity 72 hours to surrender. They thought they were being generous. They had no idea they were giving humanity time to prepare the greatest surprise in galactic history. In her office on Earth, President Da-eun smiled as she watched the reports come in. 50 years of planning was about to be put to the test. The galaxy thought they were dealing with primitives who had just learned to travel between stars. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The 72 hours were over. Admiral Krextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Terror of Worlds. Around him, the largest battle fleet in galactic history waited for his command. 3,000 ships from the Vorthak Empire, 2,000 from the Solani Collective, and 1,000 from the ancient Keeper forces. No enemy had ever faced such power and survived. Admiral, we have reached the edge of the human solar system, reported Captain Zulkar. Our sensors show exactly what we expected. A few small defense platforms around the inner planets. Some cargo ships running between their worlds. No sign of any real military. Krextar looked at the tactical display. The human system looked pathetic compared to the mighty fleet he commanded. Begin the attack. Target their orbital defenses first. Then we will demand their surrender. The Galactic Armada jumped forward into human space. They expected to find frightened primitives running in panic. Instead, they found Admiral Jinwoo waiting for them. All ships, this is command. Jinwoo's voice echoed through every human vessel in the system. Remember your training. Remember what we are fighting for. Show them what happens when you threaten Earth. The first surprise came immediately. What the aliens had thought was empty space suddenly filled with explosions. Hidden mines that had been drifting like space debris for decades activated at once. 300 alien ships died in the first 10 seconds of the battle. What is happening? Krextar roared. Where did those mines come from? Before anyone could answer, the second surprise hit them. The small defense platforms around Earth suddenly revealed themselves to be massive weapon systems. Beams of pure energy reached across millions of kilometers to strike the alien fleet. The weapons were more powerful than anything in the galactic databases. Captain Dong Hyun commanded the first wave of human ships to engage the enemy directly. His cruiser, the Soul's Pride, looked tiny compared to the alien battleships. But appearances were deceiving. All ships, attack pattern Delta, Dong Hyun ordered. Remember, they fight like they are in formation at a parade. We fight like wolves hunting prey. The human ships moved in ways that confused the alien commanders. They did not stay in neat lines like proper military vessels. Instead, they spread out and attacked from all directions at once. They worked together like a pack of hunters bringing down a much larger animal. Commander Haiwan led her squadron of stealth frigates against a group of Solani ships. The aliens never saw them coming. Her vessels appeared from nowhere, fired their weapons, and disappeared before the enemy could respond. "This is impossible," transmitted the Solani commander. "Our sensors show nothing, but we are being attacked." "Perhaps. Your sensors are not as good as you thought. Haywan replied over the communication channel. The aliens had another problem. They were used to fighting enemies who followed the same rules they did. In galactic warfare, there were proper ways to do things. You announced your attacks, you aimed for military targets, you gave your enemies chances to surrender with honor. Humans did not follow those rules. Captain Jamin commanded a group of modified cargo ships. The aliens ignored them because cargo vessels were not supposed to be dangerous. Then the ships opened up to reveal hidden missile launchers. Hundreds of guided weapons swarmed toward the alien fleet. "Those are civilian ships," protested a keeper captain. "They should not be armed." "Tell that to your burning hull," Jamin replied. The battle spread throughout the solar system. General Kyung-soo activated Earth's ground defenses as some alien ships tried to approach the planet directly. What they found was not a defenseless world, but a fortress that had been prepared for this moment. Hidden weapon batteries emerged from mountains. Underground missile silos opened across every continent. The cities themselves were protected by energy shields that the aliens did not know existed. "How did they build all of this without us knowing?" asked High Arbiter Velthara from her command ship. "Perhaps you were not watching as carefully as you thought," General Kyung-soo broadcast to all enemy vessels. "Welcome to Earth. You are not welcome here." The aliens tried to use their superior numbers to overwhelm the human defenses, but they kept running into the same problem. Human tactics made no sense according to everything they knew about warfare. Major Soo-jin led a boarding party that attacked the alien flagship directly. Her soldiers used small, fast ships to break through the enemy's shields and land inside their vessel. The aliens had never experienced hand-to-hand combat in space. Their ships were not designed for fighting inside them. "Surrender your vessel," Soo-jin demanded as her Marines took control of the bridge. "This is not how space battles work," Admiral Krextar protested. "It is now," Soo-jin replied. The worst shock came when the aliens realized that the humans were not just defending. They were learning. Every time an alien ship used a new weapon or tactic, the humans adapted to it within minutes. Human artificial intelligence systems analyzed enemy patterns and shared the information with every ship in the fleet instantly. Commander Woo Jin's task force surrounded a group of keeper vessels. The ancient aliens were used to enemies being afraid of their reputation. Instead, the humans treated them like any other target. "We are the keepers," the enemy commander transmitted. "We have ruled this galaxy for millions of years. You cannot defeat us." "Watch us," Woo Jin replied, and ordered his ships to open fire. The battle raged for 6 hours. By the end, the mighty Galactic Armada was in full retreat. Of the 6,000 ships that had entered human space, less than half were still functional. The rest were destroyed, captured, or drifting helplessly with their crews surrendering. Admiral Jinwoo stood on the bridge of his command ship, watching the enemy flee. Around him, his officers were celebrating, but Jinwoo knew this was just the beginning. "Admiral," reported Commander Haywan, "we have received surrender requests from 400 alien vessels. What should we do with the prisoners?" "Treat them well," Jinwoo ordered. "Make sure they understand that we could have killed them all, but chose not to. I want them to go home and tell their leaders what they saw here." "What about our losses?" asked Captain Dong-hyun. 67 ships damaged, 12 destroyed, 400 casualties. Jinwoo shook his head. The aliens lost 3,000 ships and killed 50,000 of their own people. They came here expecting an easy victory. Instead, they found a war they were not prepared to fight. President Daeun's voice came through the communication system from Earth. "Admiral Jinwoo, you have done well, but this is not over. The galaxy now knows that humans can fight. They will come back with everything they have." "Let them come," Jinwoo replied. "We will be ready." Across the solar system, human forces were already preparing for the next battle. The aliens had wanted to see what humanity was capable of. Now they knew. The question was whether they were Smart enough to stop or foolish enough to keep fighting, the galaxy would soon find out. The news of the defeat at Earth spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On 1,000 worlds, alien leaders watched the recordings in disbelief. The mighty galactic armada had been destroyed by primitives who had barely learned to travel between stars. High Arbiter Velthara called an emergency meeting of the Galactic Council. The great chamber on Zentara Prime was filled with angry voices and flashing lights as different species argued about what to do next. "This cannot stand," roared Admiral Krextar. Half of his face was covered in bandages from when his flagship had been boarded by human marines. "We must gather every ship in the galaxy and crush these humans once and for all." Chancellor Voxeran of the Solani Collective was more thoughtful. His people were scientists and engineers. They wanted to understand how the humans had defeated superior technology. "Perhaps we underestimated them," he said carefully. "Their ships were more advanced than our intelligence suggested. Their tactics were unexpected." "They cheated," insisted Krextar. "They did not fight like civilized beings. They used tricks and deception." "They won," Velthara said quietly, and the chamber fell silent. The aliens decided to try a different approach. Instead of one massive attack, they would strike at human colonies and Earth at the same time. They would force humanity to split their forces and fight on multiple fronts. Colonel Wu Jin was in charge of defending Mars colony when the aliens attacked. He had 300 regular soldiers and 2,000 civilian miners. Against them came a fleet of 500 Vorthak warships. The civilians should have been evacuated. That was what any sensible military commander would have done. But Wu Jin knew something the aliens did not. These miners had been preparing for this fight their whole lives. "Citizens of Mars," Wu Jin announced over the colony's communication system. "The aliens think we are helpless civilians. They think we will run away or surrender without fighting. They are about to learn how wrong they are." The miners put down their tools and picked up weapons. They had been training in secret for years. The mining tunnels became defensive positions. The ore processing plants became weapons factories. The transport vehicles became armored fighting units. When the aliens landed, they expected to find frightened colonists begging for mercy. Instead, they found themselves fighting house-to-house battles against people who knew every tunnel, every hiding spot, every weakness in the colony's structure. "This makes no sense," complained the Vorthak commander. "These are not soldiers. Why are they fighting so hard?" "Because this is our home," replied a teenage girl who destroyed his command tank with a mining explosive. "And you are not welcome here." Meanwhile, Dr. Yunseo was dealing with her own problems at Titan Research Station. She was supposed to be a scientist studying Saturn's moons. In reality, she was in charge of some of humanity's most dangerous experimental weapons. When the Solani fleet approached Titan, they expected to find a small research facility with maybe a few hundred people. What they found was Dr. Yunseo turning Saturn's entire moon system into an artillery platform. "Activating Project Thunderbolt," she announced to her team. "Let's show our guests what we have been working on. Hidden installations across Titans." Surface opened up to reveal massive electromagnetic cannons. But that was not the real surprise. The real surprise was that similar weapons emerged from 6 other moons around Saturn. "Impossible," transmitted the Solani fleet commander. "Our sensors detected no military installations." "Your sensors were looking for the wrong things," Dr. Yunseo replied. "We built everything underground. We powered it with geothermal energy. We hid it inside what looked like scientific equipment. You saw what we wanted you to see, the battle." Around Saturn was like nothing the aliens had ever experienced. They were being attacked by moons. Actual moons were shooting at their spaceships. It was beyond their understanding of how war was supposed to work. But the humans were not content to just defend their territory. Captain J. Min had volunteered for the most dangerous mission of all: His job was to take a small fleet of ships deep into enemy territory and send a message to the entire galaxy. Jae-min's ships were designed to look like damaged vessels fleeing from Earth. The aliens ignored them as they passed through Vorthak space. By the time anyone realized what was happening, human ships were already attacking targets throughout the Vorthak Empire. They did not attack military bases or weapon factories. Instead, they targeted communication centers, news broadcasts, and civilian networks. Jaemin's message appeared on every screen, every radio, every information device across dozens of worlds. "People of the galaxy," he said, looking directly into the camera. "Your leaders told you that humans are primitives who must be controlled. They told you that we are dangerous and must be stopped. But we did not start this war. They did." The message showed recordings of the Galactic Council's ultimatum to Earth. It showed alien fleets attacking human colonies. It showed the aliens' own words about crushing humanity. "We do not want to conquer you," Jae-min continued. "We do not want to rule over you. We just want to be left alone. But if your leaders insist on this war, we will fight it, and we will win it." The message had an effect the human command had not expected. On worlds throughout the galaxy, other species that had been conquered by the major powers began to pay attention. If humans could fight back successfully, maybe others could too. Meanwhile, Major Su-jin was leading commando raids against alien supply lines. Her teams attacked cargo ships, destroyed fuel depots, and captured communication stations. But their real purpose was psychological warfare. Every alien soldier they captured was treated well, fed properly, and given medical care. Then they were released with a message to take back to their commanders. "We could have killed you," Su-jin told each prisoner. "We chose not to. Remember that when your leaders ask you to attack us again." The aliens found this behavior completely baffling. In their experience, enemies killed prisoners or used them as slaves. The idea of releasing enemy soldiers as a way to spread fear and doubt was beyond their understanding. Commander Bong-su took a different approach. His specialty was electronic warfare. He hacked into alien communication networks and spread carefully crafted propaganda. Messages that made alien soldiers question why they were fighting. Stories about human mercy and alien cruelty. Evidence that their own leaders were lying to them. "The truth is our greatest weapon," he told his team. "The aliens control their people through fear and lies. We will give their people the truth and let them decide what to do with it." The turning point came when Admiral Jin Woo launched Operation Homecoming. For the first time in galactic history, core worlds of the major powers came under direct attack. Human fleets appeared in the home systems of the Vorthak, Solani, and Keepers simultaneously. They were not there to conquer or destroy. They were there to prove a point. "Attention, people of these worlds," Admiral Jin Woo broadcast. "Your fleets came to our home and tried to destroy us. Now we have come to your homes. But we are not like your leaders. We do not make war on civilians. We do not destroy planets. We are here to show you that your leaders cannot protect you from us." The psychological impact was devastating. For millions of years, the core worlds had been safe. The wars were always fought in distant systems against weak enemies. Now, suddenly, the war had come home. On Earth, President Da-un watched the reports with satisfaction. The aliens had wanted to show humanity its place in the galaxy. Instead, humanity was showing the galaxy that the old order could not stand against human determination. "Ma'am," said her aide, "we are receiving communication requests from several minor species. They want to know if humans would support their independence movements." Da-un smiled. The war was no longer just about humanity's survival. It had become about changing the entire galaxy. The war had been going on for 6 months. Across the galaxy, the old order was crumbling. On 50 different worlds, species that had been slaves for thousands of years were rising up against their masters. The human example had shown them that the mighty galactic powers could be defeated. High Arbiter Velthara stood in the ruins of her command center on Zentara Prime. A human commando raid had destroyed half the building 3 days ago. The attackers had left a message written on the wall in several alien languages. "Your move." "We are losing," Chancellor Voxran said quietly. His Solani collective was facing rebellion on 12 worlds. Their computer networks had been hacked, so many times that they no longer trusted their own data. "Impossible," Admiral Krextar insisted, but even he did not sound convinced anymore. The Vorthak Empire was fighting wars on 20 different fronts. Half of their subject species had declared independence. "We must end this," Velthara decided. "Contact the human ambassador. Tell him we are ready to negotiate." Fleet Admiral Chang Ho received the message while his fleet was approaching the outer defenses of Zentara Prime. He was the man President Da-Un had chosen to lead humanity's final offensive. His ships were not there to destroy the galactic capital, but to force the aliens to accept reality. "Admiral," reported Captain Minsu, "the enemy wants to talk." "Good," Chang Ho replied, "but we talk from a position of strength. Continue the advance." The battle for Zentara Prime was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The humans did not try to destroy the planet or kill civilians. Instead, they fought with surgical precision, targeting only military installations and government buildings. Commander Dal Ho led the assault on the orbital defense platforms. His ships moved like dancers, avoiding the alien weapons while destroying their targets with perfect accuracy. Every shot was calculated to disable, not to kill. "Why are they not destroying everything?" asked a Keeper military officer. "This is not how wars are supposed to end." "Because they are not like us," Velthara replied sadly. "They fight to change things, not to destroy them." On the planet's surface, General Young Ho's Marines landed in the government district. But instead of attacking the council building, they surrounded it and set up defensive positions. "Attention, members of the Galactic Council," Young Ho announced through loudspeakers. "You are not prisoners. You are not under attack. But you are not leaving until we have finished talking." Inside the Great Council chamber, the same place where humanity had been dismissed as primitive barbarians, Ambassador Hyun Ki stood before the assembled alien leaders. But this time, the situation was very different. "Honorable beings," Hyun Ki began. "6 months ago, you gave humanity an ultimatum. You demanded our surrender. You threatened to destroy our world. You called us primitives who needed to be controlled." The aliens sat in silence. Many of them looked ashamed. Others looked angry. A few looked confused, as if they still could not believe what had happened. "Today we offer you a different choice," Hyun Ki continued. "We could destroy your fleets. We could conquer your worlds. We could make you our slaves, just as you have enslaved others for so long." Admiral Krextar started to stand up, but Admiral Chang Ho's voice came through the communication system. "I would not do that if I were you, Admiral. My ships have you targeted." Krextar sat back down. "But we do not want to be conquerors," Hyun Ki said. "We do not want to rule over you. We want something much more dangerous to your old way of thinking. We want equality." He activated a holographic display that showed the current state of the galaxy. Red areas marked worlds in rebellion. Yellow areas showed planets where the local populations were demanding independence. Green areas indicated species that had already declared themselves free from galactic control. "Look around you," Hyun Ki said. "Half the galaxy is in revolt. Your empire is crumbling not because we destroyed it, but because we showed others that it could be destroyed. We gave them hope." Chancellor Voxran spoke up. "What do you want from us?" "A new galactic compact," Hyun Ki replied. "No more enslaved species. No more primitive species protection acts. No more ultimatums to worlds that develop new technology. Equal representation for all intelligent species." "Impossible," Velthara protested. "There are thousands of species in the galaxy." The council would be chaos. Then maybe the council needs to change, Hyun-Ki said calmly. Maybe instead of 3 species ruling everyone else, we need a system where everyone has a voice. The debate went on for hours. Some aliens argued that their system had brought peace to the galaxy for millions of years. Hyun-Ki pointed out that it had only brought peace to the 3 ruling species, while everyone else lived in fear. Finally, President Da-un herself appeared on the main screen, speaking from Earth. Beings of the galaxy, she said, humanity did not choose this war. You brought it to us. But now that it has begun, we will finish it properly. The old system where the strong rule, the weak ends today. And if we refuse? Admiral Krextar asked. Da-un's expression did not change. Then we continue this war until you do agree. Admiral Chang-ho, please show them our newest ships. The display changed to show the space around Zentara Prime. New human vessels were arriving every few minutes. These were not the ships the aliens had seen before. They were larger, more advanced, and there were thousands of them. We have been building these while you have been fighting our older fleet, Da-un explained. We learned from every battle. We improved every design. We are stronger now than when this war began. Director Sora appeared on screen next to the president. We have also been in contact with 47 different species that want independence from your control. They are willing to fight alongside us if necessary. The message was clear. The humans were not just winning the current war. They were prepared to fight a much larger war if needed. High Arbiter Velthara looked around the chamber at her fellow council members. The Vorthak were proud warriors, but they were practical. The Silani valued logic above all else. Both could see that continuing to fight would only lead to more defeat. We will agree to negotiate, Velthara said finally. But the terms must be acceptable to all parties. The terms are simple, Hyun-Ki replied. Equal rights for all species, an end to slavery and forced servitude, fair representation in galactic government, and most importantly, no more wars of conquest. The negotiations took 3 more days. When they were finished, the Galactic Compact was completely different from what had existed before. Instead of 3 ruling species, there was a council with representatives from every intelligent species in the galaxy. Instead of primitive protection acts, there were development assistance programs. Instead of ultimatums, there were diplomatic discussions. Ambassador Hyun-Ki signed the new compact on behalf of humanity. As he put down the signing device, he looked around the chamber one more time. 6 months ago, you called us primitives, he said. Today, we are equals. Remember this lesson when you meet the next species that develops star travel. Back on Earth, President Da-un addressed the planet from the same office where she had first learned of the galactic ultimatum. My fellow humans, she said, the war is over. We have won not just our freedom, but freedom for countless others throughout the galaxy. But with that victory comes responsibility. We must prove worthy of the trust that other species have placed in us. Director Sora entered the office carrying a new report. Ma'am, our long-range scouts have detected signals from beyond the galactic rim. It appears there are other galaxies out there, and some of them may have noticed what happened here. Dae-yoon smiled the same smile she had worn when the aliens first threatened Earth. Well then, I suppose we should start preparing for the next challenge. In the depths of space, human exploration ships were already moving toward the edge of the galaxy. They carried messages of peace and offers of friendship, but they also carried weapons and the knowledge of how to use them. The galaxy had learned that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their tactics. It was their refusal to accept that things had to stay the way they were. When the aliens had declared war on Earth, they thought they were putting primitives in their place. Instead, they had awakened something that would change the universe forever.